Hi, welcome to another Roboflow training movie. Here's an example of how to export CSV file from a Cumulus catalog based on a selection of a category. In the catalog, I added a field, and I'm going to the information window, and I added a field called export press run to CSV. And when I check this, my workflow will pick up this setting and will export the information. The information resides here in native Cumulus fields and also in let's get up a little bit, let's close this a little bit like that. So we have some just Cumulus fields, but we are also getting information from a table field. So how do we do this in Roboflow? First of all, I have a workflow which is called process categories, and here, if we look in the workflow, this is a watch categories template workflow, and in the parameters I'm looking into a catalog and I'm doing this query, and I'm after that query processing all records of that particular catalog. I added a field here via this new button called output folder, and so I created a folder. I defined a folder where I was going to export or output my export to. It starts with picking up the category name, and because I'm going to use that category name across the other scripts and across other places in this workflow, not just inside this script, I prefix it with the tag global, which tells it to store this variable not individually for this category, but available for the category and the records and all preceding actions scripts in this workflow. I'm also picking up the parent category because I'm working with search that searches for year and that uses the record table fields for year and name of this category, so two levels. So I'm getting the parent category, then I'm storing the parent category name, and then I'm merging those two together so that I have the parent category name dash the current category name, which ends up in the category name. And then I'm creating the export file, which I give the name of the output folder, and I call it, for instance, press run, and then you could also add, for instance, here the name. A little trick in Cumulus 9.2 is that you can click twice slowly and it will give you all the tags that are available here. So for instance, cat name. So if you want to use the cat name in this file name, I can do it just like this, so without having to type it. So that creates the file export, so that's how the file will be named. And then I store that file, create the file if it doesn't exist. So now I have a real file that is created. And then I store my header. Here you define which columns you have, so you could add or remove columns. It's a CSV. If you prefer a tab limited text, you could remove all the quotes and change it in the semicolon into #tab hash, which is a tab in between all fields. And so I'm storing this as a variable, and then I'm writing this to the file. I'm writing the CSV header, to the CSV export file that I created just above. The workflow itself will automatically search for all records of this category, the category it is processing. Then I'm storing the record name, the title, the state, the store name, the store. So all the information available in record fields. And then I'm opening a subtable field, which we have called orders in this catalog. And so this allows us to store, process all the records from that. And notice that I added an additional query here. I'm looking for a field called catalog equals that category name that I constructed from parent category and category name. So that information is then that action is then processing all records it finds, stores the individual field information, and then creates this text, which is, and here it's good that I check because I already see a mistake here. And this is the cat name and that we stored globally, so I'm going to pick that up, but of course I can only pick that up if I use my tag instruction. That. And you can see that I did that for all the fields, and that's how I stored it. And then when I stored all the field values into one text, I now pick up that text and I write it to my CSV export file. And then I close the table field that I opened. And always, if you open individual table fields to process them, they are like catalogs inside a catalog. You have to open and close them, otherwise Roboflow might run out of resources after a few loops. At the end of this workflow, as this processing, the script automatically calls the post action script for categories. So for the individual category, it will now set the value of that field that we set the press run to CSV field to false. So it knows it was processed. It writes in the log that this file was created, and then it tests if it really exists. And if it really exists, of course, then maybe there was nothing to export. If it really exists, it will catalog the file. I create here a category path based on the cat name that was selected, and then I set that category value, so it creates that category and adds it to the record, and I'm writing to the log that the record was created. If it fails, it adds to the log that it fails, CSV file not found, and so it couldn't process it. So that's how this workflow works. Basically, maybe I jumped out a little bit too quick. Basically, if there's anything that could change, then it would probably be here in this script. If you want to export different fields, you could change here the fields, remove or add fields that you want, and you would have to do exactly the same thing in this script. Almost at the bottom, the third last line contains the same structure, has to have the same amount of columns where you define all the individual fields that you export. So if I now go back to the work to Cumulus, I can see that I already selected here a category, and this one, that when we started, here it's selected. So we now go to Roboflow and we can say start. And when it's finished, we will have a new CSV file inside the Cumulus catalog under a separate tab. I can look in the log to see if it ran, and I can see that it found the category called Christmas 2, and then found from that category the record, and it created the export file, and it's running every minute now, so it continues to run. If I can just close this and go to Cumulus, I can see that here under press run CSV it created this record, and if I drag and drop this to my desktop and I open the file on my desktop with text editor, I can see that it created a nicely CSV file with the title row and then per different item a row. So that's how you can export information CSV style from a selection of a category, and we can see in the category as well that here that this is set back to false. So the next time I select it, it will export it again. So this was a watch categories example, exporting and working with subtables of a record. Thank you for joining, and see you in the next movie.